Let's talk about balanced bilinguals, the absolute unicorn among bilinguals. I'm sure you've heard of them. Do they exist? Yes or no? Here's an interesting story for you if you're interested in balanced bilinguals, at least I hope so. Today in French class, I was speaking with an American student who mentioned she was going to a certain festival called Gueule de Loup in the south of France in Occitanie. As we spoke about the festival, I started to wonder first of all why they called it Gueule de Loup and what it might mean as a symbol. But then I also started to wonder why the wolf appears so often in French cultural references, and my mind began moving through everything I associate in French with the word wolf in Francophone culture. I didn't arrive at a single answer, but I started to list all I knew about wolves in Francophone culture, and I arrived at a network of meanings. For example, I remembered that the wolf in France was a real presence in rural life, a threat to peasants in deep countryside regions, la France profonde, and it carries traces of that fear still today in expressions such as le loup solitaire, the solitary wolf, suggesting isolation and danger. At the same time, the word loup belongs to childhood culture. In the playground in school, when you play tag and the person is it, you touch them, they're it. In French, you're the loup, you become the wolf. And we say c'est moi loup, c'est toi loup when we play tag. It also reminded me of loup, y-es-tu? It's similar to a panto in British culture. Oh no, you don't. Oh yes, you will, and so forth. You know, that back and forth in the panto. And they say in French, Loup, y-es-tu? Loup, are you ready? Wolf, are you ready? And he answers, I'm putting on my trousers, I'm putting on my shirt, je mets ma culotte, je mets ma chemise. Loup, y-es-tu? And it's just the anticipation before the wolf comes in. I forget how it works exactly, but I remember singing this about 40 years ago in nursery songs such as Promenons-nous dans les bois. I think the two are connected, Promenons-nous dans les bois. Promenons-nous dans les bois pendant que le loup n'y est pas. Si le loup y était, il nous mangerait. Na, 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 na. And this is also, you know, let's walk in the woods while the wolf isn't there. If the wolf was there, he would eat us up. So it appears there also in childhood games. The wolf also sits within a certain literary tradition, most obviously le petit chaperon rouge, the little red riding hood. In English, the equivalent figure is often reduced to the big bad wolf. Who's afraid of the big bad wolf? The big bad wolf. Three little pigs also, you know, and I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house down. Remember that one? So it's probably more simplified in the English-speaking culture. It's probably more comedic, humorous, maybe more symbolic, less dangerous. In France, it can also evoke darker historical references such as La Bête du Gévaudan, ooh la la, where the wolf sits between myth, fear and history. And there are also smaller linguistic traces, you know, tomber dans la gueule du loup. Of course, the expression tomber dans la gueule du loup, literally to fall into the wolf's mouth, suggesting sudden danger or entrapment. We can also call a small child mon petit loup, which is an affectionate term, and also sexual acts, such as when you've seen the wolf, which means, of course, you have performed your first sexual act. Young girls usually, for whatever reason, elle n'a pas encore vu le loup, she hasn't yet met the wolf, and I'm sure I'm missing some. In English, we wolf down our food, but the emotional associations are different again. And in French, we can also say les loups mangent gloutonnement. So there is a shared idea here. What struck me in all of this is how all of these layers exist at once for a bilingual. And it's not a matter of translating the word wolf into the word loup, but to instantly activate a cultural network attached to the word. And this is what I call being a balanced bilingual. It's not someone who translates between two languages, but someone who experiences words through two cultural systems simultaneously. I'm not talking about listing all the cultural references surrounding the word wolf, or even academic knowledge. That's what professors do. I mean something more immediate, how you feel, how you sense the word across two languages. And this applies far beyond the word wolf. It doesn't have to be deeply symbolic for it to work. It exists in almost every concept. Love in two languages, what does it mean? How does it work? What does it summon as a feeling, as a thought? Love, bravery, credit cards, sport, fashion, coffee, holidays in two languages. Each carries a different cultural weight depending on the language in which it's experienced. A true balanced bilingual can even reflect on seemingly simple words like a toilet. You know, tell me all about a toilet in French and English. You should be able to do that if you're an actual balanced bilingual. What it represents socially. What does the word toilet represent socially in French and in English? How much taboo surrounds the act of going to the toilet? What kind of humour exists around it? How openly is it discussed? In what historical periods did it become acceptable to joke about? It's not just about vocabulary, it's not just about translating two languages. It's a cultural perception embedded in language itself, times two. This, to me, is what it means to be a balanced bilingual. I hope it was useful. My name's Chris. I'll teach you French at OuiCommunicate.com in a bilingual way. See you soon.